Hello, everybody, and a happy Wednesday to you all. It is the Against the Grain podcast for the Corrales Puntacana Championship, the third and final edition of the Awesemo Golf Weekly podcast series, where I give you 3 short-form podcasts, but you've probably heard me say that a couple of times now, or maybe even a couple of times this week. Short-form podcasts, though, that will add up to right around 50 minutes and give you all the needed information for the week that is upcoming. And this week, for the Against the Grain pod, we got a little bit of a special going on where all of the ownership projections from Alex Awesemo Baker are free this week. Some of the best ownership projections in the industry. So if you're not an Awesemo member, come and check out how good they are, is what I meant to say. And let's go over a couple of them. Even though I normally go over the top 10, we'll go over the same in the same form or fashion. Even though they are all free this week, I'll give you the top 10. But before I do, let's do a quick Millionaire Maker review from last week. See how the Millionaire Maker winner got it done, and see if we can learn anything from it. Let's start off with the top. Xander Schauffele. He was the chalk that they played. Always a chalk, I've noticed. Bryson DeChambeau, however, he was the lowest owned projected golfer above 9,500, and he ends up winning the golf tournament and ends up being a great play. Obviously, wins the golf tournament and 6% owned. It's a dream scenario there. Matt Fitzpatrick, 17% owned. Missed the cut, too. And still winning $1 million for 5 of 6. Matt Wolff, 13%. Louis Oosthuizen, 18%. And Will Zalatoris, the odds favorite for this week, 6,800, 6%. So the total ownership, 86%. Be a touch higher than what we're used to seeing, but honestly, not all that much. He did use all 50K of the salary and only had 2 entries. Did Guard Dog 12, who got it done. But my takeaways from this are he played the chalk. Obviously, it was Xander Schauffele that got done, so he played the right chalk and went against the grain up top. So going against the grain up top certainly can prove to be a make or break scenario, of course. And of course, if a 6% owned guy, you go up top, ends up missing the cut, it means you committed a ton of your salary to that guy, and it's likely you're not going to have a winning week. But nonetheless, when it pays off and when it hits, you're so far above the crowd. So honestly, it is a strategy that you should look at. And let's go right into some of the top owned golfers this week. Remember, you got to get the right chalk. And even this guy, 86% total ownership, winning the Millionaire Maker, is still Xander Schauffele, close to 30% owned. So you got to play the right chalk. And this week, the right chalk, who knows if it's going to be any of these top golfers, but let's go over the top 10 projected from Awesemo this week. Number 1 coming in is Jonathan Vegas. Incredibly enough, he's coming in north of 20%, maybe even 22%. It's really something crazy we haven't seen in quite some time from Johnny Vegas, top-owned golfer. Next will be Adam Long, very close to 20%. Then Sam Burns right at 20% as well. Maybe a couple percentage points less will be Corey Connors, Matthew Schaub, Adam Schenk, Mackenzie Hughes, Will Gordon. Should have said a pair of Wills, Will Gordon and Will Zalatoris, Thomas Dietrich, Brian Stewart, Patrick Rogers, Pat Perez, and Zing Zun Zhang. That measures out the top 10. Again, you want all of these projections free this week? Head to awesemo.com/PGA/ownership-projections. That'll bring you right to it. So you can see I just mentioned about 10 of the top golfers in there. Interestingly enough, maybe not that interesting, except for Will Gordon, all of the golfers are priced above 8,000 this week. I guess that's not too much of a surprise, as it's a weaker field. Not too many overweights to be had in that bottom section. Okay, so let's now move into each pricing category as I do in my Against the Grain article. This week we did a little bit different. Normally I'm all the way up top and then I get a middle section. But this one, we did the top from 10,900 to 9,000. We get 13 golfers in there, close to 200%. It's like 180% total ownership. I just mentioned a lot of the guys that I believe are going to be high owned, like Adam Long, Sam Burns, Corey Connors, Mackenzie Hughes, Will Zalatoris, Thomas Dietrich, Pat Perez, Charles Howell. Then we get maybe a little bit of a break. When I say a break, a little bit of an ownership discount. Denny McCarthy is coming in at $9,600 this week. Can't imagine more than 12 to 15% of the gamers will go back to him. And Christopher Ventura, who has played arguably some of the best golf in this field, he's coming in at close to 12% as well. That's going to give us 3 golfers: Emiliano Grillo, Sepp Straka, and Henrik Stenson, the lowest ranked golfer in the field. Should all be under 10%. Obviously, Emiliano Grillo, I like him a lot coming into this week. His iron play is obviously superb and much better than most golfers in this field. And his form has just been good recently. And we know that when his form is good, he's certainly much better than most of the players in this field. Sepp Straka has had an interesting go. He's been a little bit roller coaster, but I guess Henrik Stenson is maybe the most interesting talking point. Obviously, if this guy is in any type of form coming into this week, he's by far and away the best, or most, I should say, the most accomplished player in the field. So if Stenson gets it going, maybe he'll have a little bit of a resurgence like his buddy Graham McDowell, who is the defending champion this week. Okay, that'll take us out of that top range. Again, if I had to pick one of the top against the Graham pays, it would be Emiliano Grillo coming in sub 10%. The next golfers, we cover about 22 of them, the price range of $9,400 to $7,500. Total ownership in here of these 22 golfers is going to be like 230%. Yanni Vegas, he's going to lead us off, 22%. I thought the most interesting thing when I saw Awesemo's printed was Matthias Schwab coming in at 17% at $8,800. He was abysmal last week, so bad at the U.S. Open. Now, granted, it was the U.S. Open, and if you go back to the Barracuda a couple weeks ago, a guy almost won the tournament. So, definitely a bit of a roller coaster here, but still coming in 17% owned, maybe not terribly high. But a guy that is in the next price section that has a similar type game, at least they've shown it on the European Tour, is Kurt Kitayama, and is a full $1,700 cheaper. So, interesting decision there. Next one is Adam Schenk, who I highlighted all over my Fit and Form article. He was in both sides and one of the only guys to be that. Looks like either some people have been reading that article, maybe I'm giving myself just a tidbit of too much credit there, or more so that people are being drawn to him as a good play this week. He could press 20%. I mentioned Will Gordon there. Will Gordon, he's coming in at $7,600 on DraftKings, and that is definitely dictating the ownership. Going to close in close to 20%. Brian Stewart, Patrick Rogers, and Xingjun Zhang coming in at close to 14%, with a couple of guys that we certainly have played in the last couple of weeks, or definitely the last couple of years. Kyle Stanley, Keith Mitchell, and Luke List, along with Henrik Norlander, likely to come in that 10 to 13 mid-ownership range. Still, though, we're going to have a bunch of golfers that are going to get under 10% from this price category. Matt Jones, Bryce Garnett, who has won here before, Seamus Power, who has 2 good starts here, Bo Hogg, Charlie Hoffman, Thomas, the Tank Engine, Jo Hyung Kim. He's going to be about 5% owned this week. His price has shot up $8,200. Graham McDowell, James Hahn, Chris Baker, Rob Oppenheim, and K.H. Lee round out the golfers that I believe will be below 5% this week. James Hahn, Chris Baker, definitely some interesting notes. Hahn bounced back last week. He was playing on a major medical. He will be again this week, so he's got to fulfill some points. But James Hahn, 5%, and Chris Baker, 4%. Certainly 2 golfers that are definitely going to be low-owned that I may focus on this week, or at least have a part of my lineups and likely an overweight. Okay, that's going to bring us into the last price section now. This is going to be this week $7,400 and below. Again, it's just how it ended up coming out. I mean, I know there's over 100 golfers in this category, or close to it. Close to 200% in terms of ownership as well, so it's not like getting that much of a discount. But let's go ahead and talk about it, if nothing else. We're going to have Bo Hostler. He has come out of basically nowhere to get north of 10% ownership. Kind of blows my mind a little bit, I'm not going to lie to you. Not sure where it's coming from. Now, granted, the off-the-tee game has been good. His motto rank in this price section is 3rd, as JJ Spawn 1st, and Kurt Kitayama also up there as well. Kurt Kitayama and Chris Kirk are going to be 2 other golfers owned over 10%, and then JJ Spawn, Sam Ryder, Doug Gim, Cam Percy, Joseph Brantley, and Vaughn Taylor. Vaughn Taylor looks like he's teeing it up this week. We haven't seen him since the restart. He's been injured and withdrawn from a lot of events, so Vaughn Taylor looks like he's in the field and playing this week. Maybe a couple of other guys that are going to get from 3 to 5%. Peter Uihlein, Peter Malnati. You guys know I like saying the same name back-to-back times. Vincent Whaley, Kevin Chappell, Patton Kazire, Akshay Bhatia, and more those last few guys certainly going to be under 5% or at least very close to it, if not fully below. So until I think that pretty much covers everybody we would want to in the field. I'm recording this late Tuesday night. I can't imagine you're going to listen to it tonight. I guess maybe you could, but probably not. So you're going to probably hear it on Wednesday. So that'll give me a perfect opportunity to tell you guys to join Ben, Raza, and I at 8:30 tonight. We are going to break it all down, including the weather, tell you if there's any wave advantages, some of our top plays, and of course our famous Make the Cut segment where we throw out a bunch of names and let you know if they will be playing the weekend or not. So we're right around 11 or 12 minutes, which is where we find ourselves in this podcast. So thank you all for coming to the third and final edition of the Awesemo Golf Weekly Podcast Series. This was the Against the Grain portion. And if you came in late or maybe you skipped the first little part, remember Awesemo ownership projections are free this week. So come on and check out the entire field's projection from Awesemo. So until next time, everybody, thank you for coming on by, and we will see you on the other side. Cheers.